what does the idea of paradise represent for each of your characters? And how does this sort of shape their decisions and interactions? And we can start with you, James.
Hmm. That's a great question because I don't think it's a destination. I don't think it's a place. I don't think it's something you can own. For him, I think he's a guy who, if he could jump in a time machine and go back in time and change some things, he would. So maybe peace with himself is his paradise. I think he struggles a lot with relationships in his life, um, and I feel like he wishes that a lot of things were different.
Yeah.
So I think paradise for him would be, yeah, some clarity and being able to wake up in the morning and sort of be proud of who he is as a human being.
Yeah, I would say so. In the context of the show, literally paradise means survival for Xavier, like an opportunity to live, like first and foremost, right? But in terms of an idealized situation, his family together wherever is his paradise, right? So I think the interesting thing, which we find him at the beginning, as a single father with his two children, safe and sound, but absent of his partner in life, is a level of devastation that he's still in the midst of figuring out how to move forward and through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
purgatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for you, James, with us learning of Cal's death within like the first minutes of the first episode, how would you say it becomes the foundation of that larger story about that fractured brotherhood between Cal and Xavier?
Mm.
Because it's almost like he's seemingly still like he's trying to make up for lost time by protecting him on the other side, if you will.
Right, right. I think he carries a lot of regrets, and I think when he when he meets Xavier for the first time, I feel like they become like surprisingly they become close and friends, and they're so different when you first meet each other, but then they become important to one another. And I think maybe, I don't know, maybe Xavier's more important to Cal than Cal is to Xavier. That could be argued, I guess.
Mm.
But I think you see the regret start to surface for Cal through the show, and if and I also feel like he may have sensed in his gut that his clock was ticking,
Mm.
and perhaps not perhaps did make a conscious decision to against uh, power or persuasion or force to go against the grain and do what is right, what he feels is right for the people that he cares about, for the people that deserve it, even the people he doesn't know. Which to me just speaks to his character down. As troubled as he is, I do think he's a good human being at his core.
Yeah.
And you start to see him try to, you know, get back what was lost and sort of right his wrongs in his final days.
Absolutely. And then just lastly for you, Sterling, there's a
Yeah.
line in one of the episodes, I believe it's the third, where Gabriella tells Xavier that they all lost something to get there to that paradise.
Yeah.
In what ways do we see your character grapple with, that resentment of making it to that paradise? And like, is that something that he ever like that you think he will overcome by the end?
Good question. I said this before, but his wife is like his right arm, his heart, his chest, his whole body, really, and he just feels empty without her. And will he find a way? I think once he realizes that he still has these two beautiful children to live for,
Mm.
right? There's something wonderful about that. And then there's also like something else that I won't tell you about because you probably haven't seen it yet. And when you do, you'll be like, oh my God.
This is
Um,
basically the character he becomes in the eighth episode. Gave you a little Easter egg there.
Just a little. Thank
yeah,
you
you'll
so
see.
much. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
That's my time. And congratulations on a great show.
Appreciate you,
Thank you
Shanique.
very
Take
much.
care.
Thank you.
Welcome. What does paradise represent for each of your characters, and how does this shape their decisions and interactions?
Way to start me off easy there, Nick. I really appreciate that. First interview of the morning.
Questions about this show,
Yeah,
by the
wow.
way.
That's very true. Paradise is it's an interesting show to describe. You know, it's a mystery thriller set in this very tranquil world, but you quickly realize nothing about it is serene. My character, I'm the therapist, and all of the characters go through me, and I'm sort of handed the task of discovering whether or not Sterling, who is the main suspect in the killing of the president, which we see very early on, whether or not he did it or not. I think the show for my character, Gabriella, she's the optimist. I think she sees the good in everybody, even in the people that are not so good. So yeah, she's hope. I think she represents hope and light.
Absolutely. And how about for you, Julianne?
I think that for Samantha, the paradise, the world that they live in, at least at the start of the show, what she loves about it is it feels safe. It feels like something she can control. It feels like she knows what's going on everywhere. You know, they talk about cameras being everywhere and there are people around and certain rules like no guns. There are certain things that make her feel safe, more like she can protect her family. And as Sarah mentions, all that flies out the window and nothing is as it seems.
Yeah, it reminds me of like just a longer version of in a more modern version of one of my favorite films, The Truman Show.
Oh,
And I like love that. And
Yeah.
so Sarah, I know Gabriella calls herself the architect of social well-being, but in striving to build this better world, how does she often overlook her own well-being? And how would you say that shapes her fate by the end?
that's a very good question. You are coming in strong as the first interview of the day. I love it. I love it. How is she overlooking her own needs? You know, we don't really explore too much of Gabriella's backstory in the first season. You learn that her parents have passed. Um, I think similar to myself, Gabriella comes across a bit of a people pleaser. So I think naturally when you have a personality like that, when you have a personality like that, you don't maybe speak your truth as much, or you learn to quiet that in order to fix everything going on out here. So I don't know, maybe Gabriella could use a good therapist in season 2. We'll see what happens with that.
Yes, yes. And then just lastly for you, Julianne, your character's journey seems deeply rooted in the grief of losing her son. So how does that loss drive her actions? And what do you hope those watching like take away from this character in particular?
I think that the loss of her son, that grief alters her DNA. It hits so deep and she just can't move past it. There is no healing, as she says. I mean, she moves forward because she still has the family, a husband and daughter at home. But that is her motivation of everything. First of all, something's been altered by the loss that she will not recover from. But it's about keeping what's precious to her safe. She wasn't able to save her son, and now she will do anything, quite literally, to keep these people safe and alive.
Yeah, well, thank you all so much for your time this afternoon or morning. And congratulations on a great show. I'm really enjoying the storytelling.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much. Have a great
Yeah.
day.
What does the idea of paradise represent for each of your characters? And how does this shape their decisions and interactions? And we can start with you, Nicole.
Oh, good. Um, I think paradise for Jane, she's getting an opportunity to have a job that presumably she hasn't done before. She's the newest sort of recruit on the Secret Service team. And I think to have the opportunity to be in this society and in a position of, power is really important to her. And she's kind of learning from her bosses and from her coworkers, and I think sort of testing the limits of what it means to be in this world of paradise.
Mm-hmm. I think for Robinson, it's sort of maybe the inverse, that she's been in this position for a very long time and has to continue to sort of hold the door. Throughout the beginning of episode 1, we see that there is a contending relationship between Robinson and Xavier, naturally because Robinson is having an affair with the man that she's meant to protect. But I think that Robinson has a whatever.
Hey, man.
She's still a consummate professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that for Robinson, she has to constantly reaffirm her stature in this world, making sure that she is being seen in a way as a professional, while also having an allegiance to a relationship that has her by the soft sides. So Paradise is a bit of purgatory for Robinson from the start of our show.
That's dope.
Thanks.
That's true and well said.
Thank
For
you.
Billy, I think this is, Paradise is not where everybody wants to be. They're there for a variety of reasons, and they're some of them painful and some of them complicated. For Billy, I think it's the most normalcy he's ever experienced. So weirdly, while everybody may have their feelings about, wishing they were here or pining for something else, I'm actually having my very best life. And so it makes it complicated and actually motivates some of his actions, because preserving this normalcy, however artificial, for him is a chance to be whole. It's a crazy complicated show, Shahi.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so complicated. It
Layers,
had me at the
layers,
edge of
layers.
my seat. Literally so many layers. So that's all my time today, unfortunately. But thank you
Oh my
so
goodness.
much.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, congratulations on Paradise.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.